welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. We're streaming out live on X, Rumble, also on Facebook, Live BitChute, as well as the audio streams and at 21stcenturywire.com, alternatecurrentradio.com. I don't know if I left anyone else out. YouTube, I guess. Hopefully, you guys can chime in on the comments sections, get some engagement like we did last week. Amazing engagement last week from our commenters on YouTube and Rumble and at 21st Century Wire. We'll be piping in some of those later in the show. Now, again, I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. We've got a very important broadcast today. The situation in Iran in the Persian Gulf has reached a critical phase. And this is the point where this thing could turn, and really, I think the fate of the world hinges upon what happens in the next 10 days. I don't think that's an exaggeration. During the Overdrive segment, we're going to be joined by our teammates at Alternate Current Radio. They're going to be joining us, I think, Hesher, Ruckus, also Basil Valentine after the break during that period. And we'll be joined by them. And then also we'll be looking at some of the other situations politically surrounding this. We have some video clips to share with you as well. And we are in a different location. We're broadcasting actually from the Way Forward Studios in Austin, Texas, and this is a fantastic podcast and organization who we're doing some work with this week. Absolute pleasure and an honor to be engaged with such a great team and organization there. More about that later. We'll be sharing some of that with you. You'll see some of the podcast on their platform that'll be out very soon as well. An interview I did with Alex Zek, which I think is going to be very interesting for a lot of people. But anyway, let's get to the task at hand. And before we get into the nuts and bolts of what we're going to be discussing today, I want to point people to the Sunday screening up here at 21stcenturywire.com. And if you look at, we curate a documentary every week at this particular point on Sunday. We will always curate a documentary film and recommend it for educational purposes for our listeners, for our readers as well. This one's called The Gaza Tribunal, and this is by Al Jazeera, actually. Just so people know, Al Jazeera, when it comes to Palestine, that issue, in Israel, they do excellent work, absolutely flawless, I would say, on that topic area. Pretty amazing. But, obviously we're critical of Al Jazeera on other subjects, particularly Syria. And even on Iran, the coverage has been difficult for Qatar because Al Jazeera is based in Qatar. So they're compromised on that issue. And they host a U.S. base. But on the issue of Palestine and Israel, Al Jazeera does incredible, probably the best all-around reporting and documentary content creation on that topic. So this one's called The Gaza Tribunal, and you'll see this down on our website. That's featured every Sunday, curated by our editorial team at 21stcenturywire.com. And so look at that. We'll look at some of our other articles here, especially one particular by Freddie Ponton, which we're going to be talking about in a moment. But let's get to the task at hand, the theme of today's show: doubling down, chasing losses in the Gulf. Okay, the United States, the Trump administration couldn't seem to settle on a mission objective. They vacillating between regime change, Iran can't be allowed to have a nuclear weapon, all this other stuff. And then they can't have missiles. They're threatening us in the region. They're threatening our troops. Our troops are surrounding Iran, but they're threatening us with their missiles. Okay, let's just remind each other who started this war. There should be no doubt. The U.S. and Israel started this war. There's no debate about that. This war wouldn't have happened if the U.S. did not start it with the Iranians. In the words of Donald Trump, it would never have happened. It would never have happened if we didn't start this war. Bibi and I started the war. This war would never have happened if we didn't start the war. It's just important to remind people of that because the gaslighting operation is already underway. And the gaslighting operation is basically, well, let's not talk about how this begun. Let's talk about where it's at right now. And the Iranians have lashed out at all of the Gulf states, indiscriminately lashed out at all of their neighbors. Irrational behavior by the Iranians. That's the party line from Marco Rubio. That is the IPAC talking points memo. And as we have told you previously in this program, IPAC circulates talking points memos to instruct congressmen, senators, and Fox News presenters and other mainstream media presenters how to address the issues. And for the most part, most media outlets will comply with those talking point memos, especially if they're getting another phone call from the White House, from Susie Wiles or Trump's chief of staff, reminding them that they need to repeat those talking points. And there's a few dissenters among the ranks in the mainstream media, and I think we're starting to see that there's been quite a few cracks in the normally sort of unanimous consensus reality facade that the mainstream media normally maintains when the U.S. is at war. In my lifetime, this is the first time I've seen a major war that the U.S. has been in where there's been cracks in the mainstream media facade, i.e., there's different reporting going on now. And I will tell you, and we'll point to some of that in a moment, but some of the dissension, I know this is going to sound shocking, and I'm not letting them off the hook, okay? But CNN, of all networks, has been dissenting from the White House party line on the issue now, on the reporting of Israel and the reporting of the Iran war. So that's not to say there's not propaganda streaming through CNN. It's a big organization, but a lot of the reporters and a few of their editors are basically putting up a sort of rebellious stance against the White House on narrative management. Now, I have not seen that in my lifetime, and I would say that's a significant thing. Again, we need to remain vigilant and critical of the mainstream media. It's important to do that, but just bear that in mind. That's a thing. That's a thing. So let's look at some of the developments right now. Let me put you in the frame of what's going on in terms of this conflict. Just some updates for people who might not be aware. There's been a lot of pressure placed on the Gulf states, particularly Saudi Arabia. That's the lead GCC country. They're sort of regarded, as the hegemon of GCC countries, i.e., Gulf monarchies in the region there in the Middle East. And there's been a lot of pressure on them to sort of join the U.S. and Israel in the war against Iran. And there have been some fake stories planted, probably by the White House, probably through IPAC, and through, I would say, very, very corrupt media outlets in Washington. One of the most corrupt that basically launders a lot of fake leaks from either the administration or Israel is able to inject talking points into an outlet called Axios. Axios is a clearinghouse for a lot of disinformation. Okay, it's very important that you understand there's a relationship between Axios, which is a relatively new mainstream media outlet. It's meant to be a Washington insiders outlet, but they seem to have this line of communication with the Israelis. Okay, Israeli sources. So clearly, Israel's using Axios to launder disinformation. And during a time of war, you have to expect that this is going to happen. This isn't like unusual. You have to realize this is par for the course. The reality is the Gulf is very trepidatious. These countries are very confused. They're torn between which side to go to because by hosting U.S. bases, they're drawing fire from Iran. Okay, and rightfully so, because the U.S. and Israel attacked Iran. It was an unprovoked war of aggression, and the U.S. is now threatening to mount an invasion, or as the mainstream media would call it, vis-a-vis Russia, Ukraine. The U.S. is attempting a full-scale invasion. Okay, full-scale invasion. So we can use that term if they invade, just like they all have with Russia and Ukraine from 2022. Even though that's not true, but that's what they said. So Pakistan right now updates: Pakistan, Turkey, very, very uneasy about the escalation now. Egypt is now voicing their disapproval of the U.S. Israeli escalation. Saudi Arabia is now in full panic mode. The UAE is in full panic mode, but they are extremely tied to Israel. Okay, Israel, for all intents and purposes, have orchestrated a soft coup in the United Arab Emirates. That's Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, in the Emirates, the UAE. Okay, that is basically an Israeli proxy. So decoupling them from this war effort by the U.S. and Israel is going to be very difficult. Okay, they're I personally think they're probably compromised at the highest level. Right there, the rulers of the Emirates are, or their families somehow compromised vis-a-vis the Epstein or Epstein type of compromise, or who knows. But they don't even know what's good for them at this point, and they're risking complete collapse and existential, failure for the UAE. I mean, Saudi, I think, gets it a little bit more. They realize if they're going to stay in power, they need to change their geopolitical orientation. But all these Emirates are really hostages of the United States, and the Israelis as well. Can always threaten to attack them, and the U.S. won't do anything. Israel could attack any of the Gulf states, and the U.S. would take a hands-off approach to that, as they do with everything with Israel, of course. So now Iran has hit a U.S. AWACS plane, advanced radar plane, on the tarmac, I believe, in a base in Saudi Arabia. I'll just confirm the details of that. But it seemed, yeah, Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia, an Iranian missile. Imagine the accuracy of Iran's missiles, that they could hit the middle of the pinpoint accurate fuselage of a U.S. AWACS plane, U.S. Air Force mobile radar. I mean, these are essential planes for launching. This particular one was called an E-3 Sentry AWACS plane. This is in Saudi Arabia. So, Iran is not a fly-by-night operation. Okay, they are very capable. They know what they're doing. They have a strategy, unlike the U.S. They actually have a strategy. Okay, so there's a lot of critics are coming after Trump right now. They're realizing that critics internationally are realizing that the U.S. doesn't know really what they're doing, and the tail is wagging the dog on this operation. Netanyahu's desperate. Israel's desperate. The IDF chief has come out publicly and said the IDF, Israel's vaunted armed forces, are on the verge of collapse. Okay, they cannot bring up the reservists. People are basically gone AWOL. They don't want to fight, or they left the country. Okay, that's happening now in Israel. So, as we said during the 12-day war, if that had gone on 2 more weeks, it would have been an existential issue for Israel. That's also dangerous because Israel could lash out and do something extreme, like deploy a nuclear weapon to save itself from imminent collapse. That's the type of pain the Iranians are inflicting on Israel. Total blackout for media coverage. And to top it off this week, the Ansar Allah, aka the Houthis, have joined the war on the side of Iran, and they're now launching attacks on Israel. And they are threatening to close the Bab el-Mandeb Straits. So you have a double pincer movement, not only the Straits of Hormuz by the Iranians, but the Bab el-Mandeb Straits with the Yemenis as well. And is the U.S. going to open up another front against Yemen? They tried that last spring. They tried that 6 weeks, 7 weeks of bombardments and killing civilians and doing the usual indiscriminate U.S. airstrikes, blowing up farmers, people in fields, who knows, whatever they decided they're going to call a target. And guess what? They did not defeat Yemen. In fact, the U.S. took record losses in terms of aircraft during that exchange. What do you think the Yemenis' resolve is going to be this time around? Probably a lot more than before. So now that's another problem. So Israel and the U.S. have a problem on their southern flank. What are they going to do? They're out of interceptors. They're out of munitions. They're running out of cruise missiles. What are they going to do? Well, Trump is going to double down, apparently. He's going to double down and deploy the 82nd Airborne, uh, the Navy SEALs, the Night Stalkers, all these special forces. And what's he going to do? What's he going to take? What ground are they going to hold? Where are they going to be staging these operations from? They're not going to be staging it from any of their bases in the Gulf. They're not going to be staging it from Oman. All that's off the table. Uh, how are they going to manage supply lines? They're going to take some of these islands in the Straits of Hormuz. They're going to take Karg Island. We'll look at some battle predictions and theories on that in a second, briefly. Uh, but it's just become clear that the all this talk by the U.S. by Trump, he's flip flopping every few days, saying, "Oh, we've got peace talks going." He doesn't have peace talks going. The president of the United States is lying to the public to buy time to mobilize military assets because it seems like his strategy is to double down. That's what it seems like. Okay, and we'll show you the man. We'll bring him back up on screen here, Donald Trump. What are we going to do with this guy? Okay, what are we going to do with this guy? He's doubling down in gambling. Gamblers Anonymous, the term that they use for people who can't leave the table, it's called chasing your losses. Okay, Donald Trump, this guy is completely haggard. He's what, 80, 81, 82? I don't know. He's basically in Joe Biden territory right now. And he's chasing his losses. Can't come away from the table. They thought that they were going to flip the Iranian regime with these peaceful protesters who are all agent provocateurs, killing and shooting and beheading and burning people in Iranian police alive back in January. They thought that was going to pave the way for regime change. They're going to follow that up with a shock and awe air campaign, and then suddenly the people were going to rise up. I mean, how bad is the intelligence in America that anybody in Washington would believe that's possible? How is it that myself or my colleagues could, know more than the entire U.S. intelligence apparatus? How is it that my intelligence assessment, which I could easily put onto a one-page Word document, if I was the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, hand that to the president, how is it that could be more accurate than what Tulsi Gabbard is stuffing onto the desk of the President of the United States? I mean, how could I know more than the entire U.S. intelligence team? How's that possible? Does that mean that they don't know what they're talking about? Does that mean that they don't know what they're doing? Does that mean that they have no idea how to analyze this situation? Is that what that means? Because these are the people that are briefing this guy. And this guy, I think we can all agree, this guy doesn't know what's going on. Donald Trump really is lost. Okay, the types of stuff that he's saying is incoherent. He's threatening to make Joe Biden seem like a Rhodes Scholar at this point. That's where Donald Trump is heading into clown world, and I think he's already arrived. Quite frankly, he's already arrived. We're in clown world. They're basically doubling down. It's a casino, doubling down, tripling down. You can see all the glad handers and people on board, the grifters, uh, types of people driving this conflict. Mary Madelson there, smoking along Virginia Slim. And Bibi Netanyahu, look at the chip that Netanyahu has in his hand. Read closely. It says Iran. And I guess it's the roulette is de-escalation is red, escalation is black, and Donald Trump's tripling down on black. So are all these other people. You look at the upper right hand corner. That's Obama. And you know what? I have to say this, folks. Okay, very important. Where's Barack Obama? This was the author of the JCPOA Iran nuclear deal. That was the centerpiece of his entire administration. That was his main foreign policy achievement. Donald Trump withdrew unilaterally, heard nothing from Obama. And now this is the war that supposedly Obama was trying to prevent with the JCPOA. and he has been cowered into submission, or he absolutely supports Trump's war? I mean, that's a good question. Where's Barack Obama? Because a lot of Democrats are against the war. Even some of the mainstream Democrat media are opposed to the war now. But what about the Obamas? Like, where's Barack? This was his wheelhouse, right? Where is he? Conspicuously absent from the conversation. He's basically deferred to this guy. Now, I'm going to play you a video clip right now, and this is just one of the many, I would say, incoherent Trump uh, statements. I mean, I don't know. You make of it what you will, and we'll comment on this.
And we had a deal. I was going there, and I didn't want to go during the war. I said, look, we have a thing called a war, or as they would rather say, a military operation.
What the hell is he talking about? Okay, so he's saying it's not a war. So the U.S. started a war. They have unleashed more munitions in the shortest period of time. Probably one of the most intensive bombardments, if not the most intensive, in the modern era during this time frame. And he's claiming it's not a war. So it's kind of backpedaling, a little bit of narrative management by somebody who, quite frankly, is completely lost. But anyway, let's listen to what he has to say.
This is for legal reasons. I say military because as a military operation, I don't need any approvals. As a war, you're supposed to get approval from Congress. Something.
Okay, so he's basically said if he calls it a military operation, then it's legal. If he calls it a war, it's not, because he didn't get approval from Congress. So what Trump has done there is admit that he bypassed Congress. He bypassed Congress. I mean, you have to remember, Netanyahu briefed his parliament, his committees, and the Knesset, the Israeli parliament. They got a briefing about U.S. operations. But our Congress and senators did not get a briefing on U.S. operations. The United States, congressmen and senators, they weren't put in the loop. But Netanyahu could bring his legislators and key committee members in the loop about U.S. operations. Do you think that's a constitutional crisis? I think there's a sovereignty issue there. Just a little one. Just a little one. Just thought I'd point that out. Let's listen to what he has to say here.
Like that. So I call it a military operation, but
this guy is, I mean, what can we say about this guy? I mean, he's all over the place. He already declared victory, but we still have to deploy troops. So, anyway, I don't know this guy. It's just so. Where are we now with this? Karg Island, any of these islands, you can expect losses of, if U.S. troops land anywhere, they're going to get pelted by Iranian missiles. How are they going to stop that? They can't. Iranian drones, how are they going to stop that? They can't. They're just going to get pounded. U.S. troops, you saw the pinpoint accuracy of hitting a U.S. AWACS plane at Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia, like literally cut the fuselage in half. That happened this week. U.S. sets up camp, sets up base. What's the point? The camp, that base, is not going to exist. The Iranians are waiting for the U.S. to put boots on the ground. They're waiting. They're going to hit them so fast, and then we're all meant to sort of mourn for our troops in the U.S. at that point. And if you don't mourn for the troops, you're unpatriotic, and you support the mullahs. That's the way that Fox and all these people are going to spin it. You're either with us or against us. So they start the war. They put the troops in harm's way. They provide the losing strategy. And if you're not on board with that, then you're unpatriotic. I mean, this is just a level of stupidity that, you've got stats here. I mean, you look at this infographic, Okinawa, Vietnam War, South Vietnam, taking small areas, relatively small areas. You look at the size of Iran. either side of the Hormuz area. Forget it. Delusional. They'll try, though. They'll try. Like every gambler chasing his losses, he'll have a go. So, we'll look at this in a second. But before we do that, here's another little mix, just to remind people of the farce that we are currently engaged in.
Fury, which is an appropriate name because we are absolutely obliterating them.
A few moments later.
See this pen right here? This pen. Epic Fury, which is an appropriate name because we are absolutely obliterating them.
A few moments later.
See this pen right here? This pen is an interesting example. It's the same thing. So this pen is very inexpensive, but it writes well. I like it. But I can't have the pen the way it was. You know what it is. I don't want to give too much publicity, but they do treat me well. Sharpie. So I came here. They have $1,000 pens. And you hand pens out. You're signing and you hand them out. You're handing them to all these people. Sometimes you have 30, 40 people. And they were $1,000 a piece. Beautiful pen, ballpoint. 1,000. It was gold, silver, gorgeous. But I'm handing out to kids that don't even know what they're doing. What is this, Mommy? It's kids. They're getting a pen for $1,000. They have no idea what it is. And I feel guilty because I'm like, I'm by nature, I don't, it's the government. I love the government like I love myself economically. I want to save money. So I'm saying this is crazy.
This is, ladies and gentlemen, you have to realize where we're at right now, politically in the United States. Okay, this is a level of clown world that, again, it even makes Biden almost look like, I hate to say it, but in comparison, relatively speaking, Biden's looking more presidential, more coherent than Trump. Do you realize what a disaster that is? Even though both options are absolutely terrible, both possibilities are terrible, that Trump has now, outdone Biden in the clown world sweepstakes. He's completely past it. I mean, this is embarrassing. It's not just embarrassing, but we're meant to think that these people know what they're doing, that these people have the U.S. electorate, the citizens of the U.S., they have our interests at heart. They don't. What exactly they're doing? They're having a laugh is what they're doing, and they're all absolutely padding their stock portfolios. These people are getting rich, and not just the president and his cabinet, but everybody in Congress and Senate. The reason a lot of them, Democrats as well, support the war is because they're making a lot of money off it. That's it. As soon as they cash in their gains, then you'll see some of them pivot and become more sort of against the war after 6 months or a year, or however long this drags on. Let's listen to whatever.
And it had another problem. They didn't write well. So I take it out, and I saw it, and there's no ink. And I got all you people looking, and you say, there must be something wrong with Trump. And I'm signing, and there's no ink in the pen, and it costs $1,000. This one, I called the guy. I said, I'd like to use your pen, but I can't have a gray thing with a big S on it saying Sharpie. He said, well, I can make it nicer. I said, what can you do? He said, I'll paint it black. I said, that's nice. And I can even paint the White House on it, sir, if you like, in gold. Almost real gold, not bad.
And we're supposed to sort of take that seriously. We're supposed to take this administration seriously, honestly. I mean, if I wanted to sort of go all out and just show you all the worst clips, it's pretty shocking. Anyway, it is what it is, and I don't really know what to say beyond that. But anyway, back to the topic. Okay, so Sunday screening. Now he's out of it. This is an important article right here. Okay. And this is by Freddie Ponton. So go to 21stcenturywire.com. You'll see this. Chabara Kanarak, the Makran coast, where the U.S. is most likely to land in Iran. Now, what Freddie is a very astute researcher, and he's basically this is a forensic analysis of the topography, the geography, and where the U.S. is most likely to invade. And it's not potentially, importantly, it's not going to be just one place. Okay, it'll be multiple. There'll be multiple locations, and so it's possible that the Karg Island is a ruse, or will be a feint. In other words, a fake attack designed to draw Iranian defense response to that place, while the U.S. Put the balance of their force in another location. Okay, now there's various possibilities of what they hope to achieve in terms of leverage, but I think it's going to be with the U.S. It'll be a multi-pronged attack because it won't be them alone. It'll be the Israelis. So you have to remember this is more than one army, okay, more than one military. It's the U.S. and Israel. So it'll be a combination of ground and then airstrikes in other parts of the country. And the calculus by the Americans and the Israelis are that they're going to take out, they're confident they can take out the remainder of Iran's missiles and drones so that Iran won't be able to repel a U.S. ground invasion. And what the U.S. hope to do there is probably secure the Straits of Hormuz. That's their plan in order to open it up and then prevent Iran from exercising any leverage over that. So I encourage people to look at this article, share it. I think it's a very well balanced analytical piece and probably the most advanced analysis on this that you will read anywhere else. Okay, again, we're gaming out the possibilities here, and Freddie's just done an extraordinary job as usual doing that. So again, 21st Century Wire, we're publishing these types of pieces all week, every week. Okay, every week consistently. So our content, our output, thanks to people like Freddie, who's our global affairs associate editor, we're able to stay slightly ahead of the curve on some of these issues and also look back and do post analysis on other issues. Freddie also was one of the first to put together a really comprehensive analysis on the helium shortage as a result of the closure to the Straits of Hormuz and the impact that's going to have on the global semiconductor market and the AI industry and all the economic depressionary forces that are going to come to bear from those, and agriculture as well. All of those urea and all of these elements that come out of the Persian Gulf that basically formulate the components of big agra, i.e., massive agricultural food production. That's also being hit because of the closures. And again, you only know this and know it in depth by going to 21stcenturywire.com every day of the week, Monday to Friday. You will find content like this good every week. So again, hats off to Freddie Ponton. And so, it really comes down to this, and this is Sam Tarabi, who is a formidable international commentator based in Iran, and he is the top. I mean, yeah. If you're going to follow somebody besides Mohammed Morandi, who many of you know, I'll follow Sam Tarabi. He's saying the only viable future for the Persian Gulf tribal sheikdoms is ending their U.S.-Israeli humiliated slave status and entering a regional security economic agreement with Iran and BRICS globally. They can do this sooner and help shape it like Oman, or have it imposed on them later, says Sam Tarabi. He's based in Iran, but has a great perspective on international politics. And he's absolutely correct. It has to be, and this is one of the things that I said a long time ago, that it has to be a new security architecture from the region, by the region, without the United States. The U.S. can't be involved. And I think the U.S. and Israel have forfeited. I mean, Israel can be involved if they choose to denuclearize, take away their secret nuclear weapons program, so they can't blackmail everybody in the region. That will have to happen. Otherwise, either Israel's going to get decimated, or Israel's going to pull the trigger on World War III. I mean, who knows? But in terms of the region and the people living in it, the indigenous population, not the European settlers in Israel, all from Eastern Europe, from Florida, from New Jersey, from Eastern Europe. Okay, they're not indigenous to the region. Arabs are from the region. It's Arab population, Turkic, Arabic, Armenian. They're actually from the region. The Israelis, as they call themselves, are not from the region. They're from Europe and North America. So if they want to coexist, they're going to have to rethink their relationship with the Palestinians and have a normal state with equal rights for everybody, that sort of thing. The thing that we pretend to prize so dearly in the West, that equal rights for everybody, no apartheid, that sort of thing, no segregation, equal rights, treating everybody like they're human. Israel has to sort of go down, Israel needs to arrive in the 21st century. If it continues to want to live in a medieval or an Old Testament world where slavery's fine, and the Gulf states as well have basically a slave class that run their entire country and their entire economies. That's Saudi, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain. They have a slave class and they run everything. They get their labor from Sri Lanka, India, and Bangladesh, and Philippines predominantly, and then they import their middle management, the retail class, service management sector executives from Europe, the United States, Canada, France, Italy, Germany, but mainly U.S. and U.K. take most of those positions. And then the Gulf Arabs who live there are indigenous in Saudi Arabia, Emirates, Qatar, etc. They're on the board positions. You might find some of them in the upper management with vice president type titles and so forth, partners in the business, etc. But for all intents and purposes, the entire economy is run by a lower slave class and an imported management class. Okay, and they rely on more and more. They rely on direct foreign investment from Western countries that want to cash in on the Gulf economic boom and the tax-free status and all that. That's all coming into question now because of what's happened over the last month. Because of the war started by Trump and Netanyahu, have thrown the Gulf Arabs into disarray. That's just a fact. So now I talked about CNN, and we'll wrap up in a minute. We'll go to break in a second. I talked about CNN as a type of dissenting mainstream media outlet, and they're reporting here Israel kills 3 journalists in Lebanon, including a reporter from a Hezbollah-run broadcaster. They're probably talking about Al Mayadeen. It's not a Hezbollah-run broadcaster. It's a Lebanese broadcaster. So, I mean, CNN still can't fully let go of their sort of propaganda spins on things. But, let me just put you into the frame here. This is a great report. This was on Sovereign Media, and this will explain the situation, and we'll just talk a little bit more about how these journalists have been targeted in the region. And let me bring this up on screen for a moment. This is a great report by this particular journalist here. No one could really encapsulate the story as well as he has here. And my hat's off to this gentleman in South Lebanon here. His name is Hadi Hotiet, or Hotit. Hadi Hotit. He's in Lebanon, South Lebanon. And it's a risky business, folks. Let's listen to him. Oh, hold on for a second. We'll just refresh that. Okay, here we go.
One of their ugliest crimes in this war when they targeted earlier today, Saturday, the 2 most famous correspondents, war correspondents and war journalists in South Lebanon, Haj Ali Shaib, senior Al-Manar correspondent, who covered the news of the war here in South Lebanon and the front line with the Israeli enemy for more than 3 decades. And with him was Fatmi Ftouni, the well-known Al Mayadeen war correspondent that was covering the war that is happening on the border for more than 3 years until now. The targeting was not by mistake. The Israelis deliberately fired at least 3 missiles on their cars. We can see the traces of the missiles on the ground, not only on their car, but also after the car was targeted. They deliberately targeted them when they were outside the car with other missiles to confirm the killing. Despite the double tapping, Israelis used fragmentation warhead that harmed many of the cars that were around them. At least I can see one car that is still parked here that was not for the journalists and was hit by one of the shrapnel from the fragmentation warhead that was used to target the 2 journalists. With them was a photojournalist who is the brother of Fatmi Ftouni, who was also martyred on the spot. And we can see from this act by the Zionists that we witnessed in Gaza before how much journalism and truth-telling is harmful for the narrative of the occupier, and how much it is crucial for the invaders to kill the journalists, to kill those who challenge the narrative of the Zionists, because challenging their narrative now is becoming one of the most obvious aspects of their loss in their continuous genocide against the people of our land since 3 years, and it's actually continuing since 1948. From the location where our dear friends and colleagues Haj Ali Shaib and Fatmi Ftouni were martyred earlier today, we promise their souls that we will never go silent, and we will continue to bring the truth from the front line to cover Israeli war crimes and about the heroic resistance of the indigenous people of Lebanon. From South Lebanon, هذا حطيت. The Israelis.
Okay, that's I don't think anyone could say that any more concise, any clearer than Hadi did there. I mean, he really just spelled it out. Unbelievable. And where he's standing, you have to remember him being there. He's at the spot of a double tap. He's putting his life in danger doing that report. And he's on his own. He's relatively on his own. You can tell he's using a DJI Osmo, probably Osmo 3. He's filming himself. He's got his own audio pinned to his vest. So he's there to commemorate his colleagues, his fallen colleagues, his journalistic brethren in this effort. He's there to commemorate them, to honor them. He's putting his life at risk, making that video, which we're showing to you and to everybody else. That's on Instagram. I shared that on my Instagram story this morning because it's just excellent the way he sums it up. It really is. So, folks, more on that topic. Okay, on that topic here, Steve Sweeney. We didn't play this on the show last week because we were sort of walking up in the mountains of northern Arizona. And Steve Sweeney basically got targeted by the Israelis. He is the RT correspondent in Beirut. He's British. And it's what he tweeted after the fact. Today, Israel tried to kill me in a targeted airstrike in South Lebanon as I was reporting on the targeting of bridges and the forced displacement of 1 million people, an ethnic cleansing operation on a larger scale than the Nakba in 1948, the expulsion of Palestinians by the invading Israeli settlers. Okay, Sweeney continues, I have absolutely no doubt this was deliberate. Despite claims there were no warnings ahead of the strike and no notifications sent to the Lebanese army who allowed us to film. Okay, so he as we have seen in Gaza, they want to silence journalists who document and report their war crimes, exactly as Hadi just showed you there and said there. So here's Steve Sweeney. We'll take this off for a minute. Here is the clip, just so you know, British journalist. And when this happened, no response from the British government. It was almost like, well, he's working for RT, so he has it coming to him. That's the general attitude of the British, it seems, because they certainly didn't rush or have any concern for his safety or defense or anything like that. But here's the actual clip, folks, just so you know. I mean, watch this. Steve Sweeney is lucky to be alive, but he is currently in very good spirits. He's a fantastic individual and very resilient and with a great sense of humor. But this is what happened 2 weeks ago. Watch this.
Further rocket attacks were reported against Nahariya and admitted. Fucking hell. Fuck. Where?
So, at that point, you have to be concerned of the possibility of a double tap. Okay, so not only did you just dodge a missile within an inch of your life, a millimeter of your life, you then have to get out of there because they will strike twice. Or if first responders come or an ambulance come, Israel will then look at that and say, yeah, we're going to kill all the paramedics as well. And they've done this already multiple times in South Lebanon, only in the last month. And they've done it countless times in Gaza, where they target the first responders when they're coming to rescue or collect the dead or recover any survivors. I mean, that's how barbaric the situation is, and not a word of condemnation from hardly any Western governments, aside from maybe Spain or a few. Spanish. Spain's looking better and better as every day goes by, quite frankly, on these issues. But I mean, that's the general situation. So that's where we're at, folks, on that issue, and we'll share what we can with you along these lines. So we're going to go to break right now, and we're going to join our teammates on the other side. This is the Sunday Wire. I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. We are live and direct. We're broadcasting this week from Austin, Texas. And we had some great conversations with people, by the way, on the streets. So we'll share some of that with you. Probably have a report on the UK column this week if you watch that program live. Hopefully we'll share that report this coming week there. About what people on the ground think about Trump and this war in Iran. That's going to be a very interesting report when that's broadcast this coming week. So give you a sense of what's going on the ground. Anyway, look, without further ado, let's go to break. And when we come back, Overdrive with Hesher, Ruckus, Basil Valentine. We'll hit all this and more on the other side. I'm Patrick Henningsen. Stay with us. And thank you guys on the live stream. We will be reviewing your comments during the Overdrive segment, as usual, picking the best ones. So we'll see you very shortly.
Show of secret talks, a cold stealing serpent calls, buildings burn, masking riots. TV terror, watch the will of God. Hey, here we are. Heaven come down. Here we are. Heaven come down. The culture coast consuming all our lives. Rejuvenate, resist the pulling down. False flags and endless wars. Mass-born psychosis waged. Forced medical tyranny. The complications we'll soon see. Hey, here we are. Heaven come down. Here we are. Heaven come down. Heaven come down.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me the profound honor of addressing this great citadel of democracy for the fourth time.
And thanks for bombs that wreck Gaza one more time. For helping me pin it on Iran, that's the crime. Let me spin you a tale, talk you in its bedtime.
Our world is in upheaval.
We brand our foes as evil, it's our goal to spell. Labels ready-made, we wield them well. Terrorists, anti-Semites, animals all on sale. Every option laid out, no detail is too frail. Let me share my plan, it's all about me. Survival's the goal, friends, just let me be. Uncle Sam sends dollars, bombs, arms endlessly. Through twisted lenses, he pretends to see clearly. I could quote the Bible, but that's just for show. It's occupation versus civilization, as you know. Accusations by confession, the truth's on a low. Decades of incarceration, yet you clap for the show.
We win, they lose.
I can't breathe anymore, this noose is too tight. Just not as I blame in the dead of the night. We're criminals in truth, but that's our plight. Gentlemen in the headlines, painted in white.
Suddenly, heaven turned into hell.
We raised the homes, gave the order to shell. Bomb schools, mosque, hotels, there's more to tell. Not just that, hospitals fell as well. Thank you, madams and sirs, for funding this hell.
I thank President Biden for his heartfelt support for Israel.
Think this ain't real, it's all colonial play. Joe helps me claim defense in the broad daylight. Good that he is, though his words sway, supporting me, even when his talk's not right. They're killed with rage, Arab women, kids in their prime. Gaza's an open-air cage, living on borrowed time. More deaths on the way, they've sworn the crime. So we pin badges of courage in this bloody rhyme. When you God's green earth, am I ranting about? I'll take you on a ride, no doubt. But can't lie about genocide, that's out. Humanity's priceless, funds are what it's about. They call it occupation, a regime of hate, a racist dream built on a bloodthirsty state, causing death, grief, and pain at every gate. Yet I stand here and you still wait, and what I'm doing, I stand up in disguise, playing the victim, that's my prize. But ouch, they're burning me in effigy skies.
And I want to say thank you, America.
I love you and your hamburgers, that's no bluff. My soldiers loved you as pampers, just enough. No more Octobers, but we had our stuff. And we're the symbol of heroic grace. Not apartheid or racist in any place. Butter wouldn't melt in my mouth, no trace. From north to south, where the embrace face.
They call Israel a colonialist state.
I think I'm kidding, grab the Times, take a read. Ask the White House, they're trying to lead, but they need more training to follow my creed.
That Iran is funding and promoting anti-Israel protests in America. They want to disrupt America.
Think of Iran, my arms go weak, my mouth goes sour. Let's find a new land to devour. Their might threatens our tower, hour by hour. Victory's near, but is it on my side? Defeating the enemies where I can find, but that's not in me. So prayers I need and tax dollars, so my plans can proceed. We aim to make Gaza unlivable, our Nobel Prize. Then find a new place to colonize. Take the world back from the infidel guys. Make this region a 5-star paradise. Thank you, my lies have reached their demise.
Israel does not seek to resettle Gaza.
My lies have reached their demise. Thank you, my lies.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Sunday Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. We are streaming out live on YouTube, Rumble, X, BitChute, Facebook Live, also at the audio streams after the program, iTunes, and all the other podcasting streams, Spotify as well. You'll find us there. Subscribe to us there. If you're on the YouTube stream right now, please, everybody, there's quite a few people on the live stream now. I think we've got about 1,200. Do like and subscribe this live stream on YouTube. That'll help us to propel us through this general algorithmic censorship that we experience on this platform. We're not allowed to sort of grow wings and fly. We're going to need your help to physically propel us into flight on YouTube. So please, you guys, every week as well, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and also drop comments into the main comment section, not just on the live stream comments, but also into the main section. That will also help give us thumbs up and all the other stuff with the commenters and everybody. I appreciate all your engagement. We'll look at some of the comments in a minute, but you know where we're at on this. You guys know where we're at, and we're going to bring in our teammates in a moment. But it is a casino. We are dealing with. Trump administration's doubling, tripling down. They're chasing their losses in the Gulf. I don't think this is going to end well. We're going to talk about this with our teammates in a moment. And also, you guys, if you haven't already, we want to implore you, if you can, consider to support 21st Century Wire. Subscribe at 21wire.tv. Many of you have. We had a successful winter fundraising drive. We've already been working on implementing, and we've acquired some new equipment. We're also doing more stuff on the road, as you can see over the last month. That's all just directly because of you, because we're able to do that because of you. So we really appreciate it. So go to our website, upper left-hand corner, donate, subscribe, support. You'll see the gold button, and there's different options there where you can jump in and help us with one-time donations, all forms of payment, including crypto, PayPal, crypto, credit card. We accept everything. So support us there, you guys, and we really appreciate everybody who stepped up for the winter fundraising drive. Thank you. We cannot thank you enough, and we're working hard now to basically maximize and utilize what the support that you have given us, and that's helped to secure a lot of things that we're doing, content, people, articles, and things that we're going to be commissioning, which already have commissioned some already in the last 2 months. But that's all because of your support. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. Now, let me bring on to the stage couple of our colleagues here. Let me bring on first Bryan McClain, also known as Hesher, host of the Boiler Room, and also Ruckus, a.k.a. Adam Clark. It's going to be joining us. And might as well bring on, it looks like Basil has arrived early in the green room. And we're all excited about seeing his new music studio in Brighton. But Hesher, yeah, we saw each other this week. And so we have proof of life as well. I think there's a photo somewhere. I don't know if you've got that. If you can.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to verify with each other. You know, this is something that we have to do each year. We have to get together in person, right? ACR and 21 Wire, as many of us as we can gather, and make sure that none of us has been black bagged, replaced with a digital twin or a clone or anything like that. You know, so we do the secret handshake. You know, do the DNA check and all that stuff and make sure we're still living human beings. And then we know we're good to go. So it was great to see you, man.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, see if you can dig up that photo or in due course anyway. So, yeah, I did meet Bryan. Unfortunately, I did not meet Ruckus because a lot of people might not be aware Ruckus is actually a digital twin. And we have been aping. The real Ruckus is on a beach in Honolulu at the moment. He just can't be bothered to do any actual live work. So there we go. Hold on. Let me bring that up. That's Hesher there. So we photoshopped Ruckus in there because we are using an AI for Ruckus, as you guys know. But that's us in an awesome studio. That's the Boiler Room Studios there, just outside of Austin, Texas. So that was amazing to see the setup there and to meet anybody. And let me just hold on. I got to activate the Ruckus AI. And there we go. I think I just loaded the text file. Go ahead, Ruckus.
Excellent. Yeah, no, don't let him fool you, guys. Yes, we all got together in real life, and it was fantastic. So, although that image that was taken, although I was there when the photo was shot, when it was sent to me, I looked at it and I was like, why do I have 6 fingers? So apparently, allegedly, I guess this lets BB off the hook because I think the camera just adds an extra finger by default these days. It's just
if you move your hand, you might have been moving your hand, Ruckus.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's like go like this. If you freeze that, I'll get 6.
And I swear I had a full set of teeth when I was smiling, and then something happened. I don't know.
It's the AI magic. Yeah, it was great to see you guys. The real Ruckus, the real Hesher, and it's great to see you guys. Yeah, Hesher's sporting some flair in the background this week. It is a casino, folks. I love the Full Metal Jacket. Is that Full Metal Jacket, Hamburger Hill, or Platoon with Marco Rubio there?
We have to ask Ruckus.
Yeah. What was the other one? Michael J. Fox. I can't remember. There was another There was a few Vietnam films in that genre.
I'm thinking Hamburger Hill. It's giving me Hamburger Hill vibes.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to tell in that image, but you can see the shamrock on his helmet. I was inspired by a meme that I saw where somebody dressed him up like a leprechaun for St. Patrick's Day. So I started with that and added an army helmet to him. And, you know, I thought, lucky 4-leaf clovers. It fit the theme of the casino there. I added a couple extra explosions and American Eagle for one of the show posts later on today. But the starting point was the jackpot slot machine with Donald Trump's face. That was the central image today, and I had fun with building it out from there.
Yeah, I like that. I like that slot machine. That on its own is a maybe something we might want to reuse in the future because it just says it all. Basil Valentine joining us from the sunny shores of Britain. Basil, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Patrick. Good to see you, Ruckus and Hesher. Yeah.
You too, Basil. I wish you could have been here for this one, man. We're missing you in that photo. There's a spot for you in the middle there.
Well, I would sincerely hope you wouldn't associate me with that. I mean, rogues gallery is far too mild a terminology. Some of the worst people in the world Although I don't know who the GI is, but the others, my God. Of course, this week Tucker produced the Bibi files, didn't he? A possible upcoming documentary where he admitted on camera that he was funding and controlling Hamas, and didn't Miriam Adelson go berserk in one clip as well, saying if this ever gets out, I'll be ruined. I haven't watched them exhaustively because I break out in hives or some other nervous reaction if I'm exposed to those people for any length of time. It's really not good for my equilibrium. But if we had a functioning media on either side of the Atlantic, then surely those revelations would have been far more amplified than they have been.
Right. Rich West, 6282. Cruz is a carpetbagger. Do you know what that term means, Basil? Is there a British? Do the British use?
Absolutely. Yeah, we use the same term. It tended to mean somebody who went from one electoral district to another, hoping to gain favour somewhere and get into whatever elected body they were seeking. So there've been a few. Nigel Farage, a classic case of a carpetbagger, really stood all over the place before he was adopted by Clacton.
There's also, do you remember in the old days, Basil? I'm old enough to remember the British Building Society carpetbaggers opening up accounts in building societies and getting cash windfalls after that building society is acquired by a major bank.
Yeah. After they privatized themselves. Yes.
Yeah,
that was a nice little learner for a few people. I didn't take advantage of that.
Yeah, I know a few of those that did very well in the carpetbagging in the 1990s. But in America, it was the rich people from the North coming down with fancy carpet bags and into the sort of the poorer South, and then buying up industry land on the cheap during the Reconstruction period after the Civil War. So that's
literally bags made of carpet full of cash.
Yes, yeah. Sort of fancy
with a metal
carpet
cloth
bags
across the top. Yeah.
Ted Cruz, this guy, I don't think he can recover. He's taken two seriously mortal blows. One was from Tucker Carlson with that interview. That's a mortal blow for Ted Cruz. Second is then Ted Cruz got savaged by memes online of him wearing an Israeli bikini. And what he did was this dumbest thing is he complained about it. And then you saw the uptick in memes of Cruz and other swimwear, women's swimwear and lingerie and all the rest of it, Israeli themed women's swimwear. And you're thinking, like, why did you even bring it up? Because a lot of people didn't know about it or forgot about it. And now it's now a staple. It's a permanent fixture. Ted Cruz in Israeli bikinis. It's a permanent fixture. And then he's doubled down this week again with this Iran war interview. He's done some embarrassing interviews on the Iran war. And these guys, in a way, it's great. I mean, we owe Tucker such a great debt of gratitude for that interview, because that really exposed Christian Zionism in a way that it fast-tracked a critical perspective that I think would have taken longer to get to that point. But because Tucker did that interview, and Cruz was happy to self-immolate himself on a camera, which was very brave of him as a U.S. Senator. But
just this morning, the Catholic prelate, the Cardinal Patriarch of Jerusalem, was refused access to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre to celebrate Palm Sunday this morning for the first time in living memory, citing security concerns. So, this Christian Zionism is just so obviously a contradiction in terms. Zionists hate Christianity and they hate everything it stands for. I don't know how long this unholy alliance can last. Hopefully not much longer. I don't know. You're in the States. There are far fewer Christian Zionists in the UK, although they were out in force after the false flag ambulance arson in Golders Green. But Is there any sign of the that particular brand of idiocy disintegrating?
It is taking a blow. We'll talk to Hesher and Ruckus on that. I mean, firstly, you guys, so you're in Texas, Hesher, Ruckus. So your senator, Ted Cruz, he's a Canadian Cuban, and I mean, he doesn't even feel like he's the senator of Texas in a certain way because he's not from Texas. And he's definitely not America first. No. So he's Israel first. Clearly, he's on record. And
I mean, the trouble is, he'll be well funded by AIPAC, and it's very difficult to unseat these people once they've got in. He has his own network, his own power base, who don't really care that he's Israel first, that he's been depicted in a bikini, or that he humiliated himself with Tucker Carlson.
So Daniel Bausch says, Hesher, Ted Cruz represents the Lone Star State of Israel.
Yeah,
a little play on words there. What are your thoughts on Ted Cruz?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a growing sentiment here in Texas. I've been here for 10 years now, and the talking point used to commonly be, oh, he's a really smart guy. That's what I always used to hear about him. He's so smart. Smart.
Right.
It's like a bumper sticker that they stuck on this Canadian guy. They stuck a bumper sticker of smart on him and put some cowboy boots on the guy.
Yeah.
And, it's like Dan Crenshaw too. Like, we get all these like LARPing politicians here in Texas.
Well, the Bushes as well moved down from the Northeast, didn't they? Because they wanted a more conservative power base in the South. So they took themselves to Texas in a previous generation.
Right.
And this Ted Cruz reminds me, you guys, Ruckus, are you familiar with Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas? He's Trump's ambassador to Israel. I thought he was done. I thought his career had already sunset. And then suddenly he gets appointed as the U.S. ambassador to Israel. Or is he the Israeli ambassador to the U.S.? It's hard to tell sometimes. But Huckabee's another one. His name's coming up here in the comments. I'll throw up some stuff here, but Ruckus, your thoughts on this? These are the sort of vanguard, aren't they, the Christian Zionists?
Yeah, and Huckabee more so than Ted Cruz in particular likes to represent himself as like what I say represents the belief of American Christians or some silly, and it's just all the Schofield Bible, future dispensationalism, crazy garbage that we hear all the Zionism, the Third Temple, the stuff, Mike Huckabee, he just recently, I guess, was saying something to the effect that if you insult Israel, is like insulting my wife. People had a fun time with that one. So they were like, well, then F Israel and F your wife, Okay, well, you asked for that one, didn't you? But yeah, he in particular, he's the one that provided the proof of life video, allegedly, for Bibi. I don't know if you noticed, but that is a ghostly Bibi in the image there behind Hesher. And also, case in point, real quick, about Ted Cruz, how much of a clown he is. That is not an AI image of Ted Cruz dressed like that. He literally dressed himself like that, as some sort of he thought he was trying to be cool and identify with the Texans. Ha, 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 ha. Like he's literally wearing a costume and playing an act. And I think a lot of people out here don't forget the fact, and I knew this before I even moved out here because you suffered under this, Bryan, the deep freeze. When the deep freeze happened, that guy was on a plane somewhere. He was going to go to Florida on vacation and have a good time and show off his Israeli-themed bikini swimwear, possibly. That's not proven, but he got in a lot of hot water for that one.
I forgot about that. He did. He fled. He fled to Israel during Texas's moment of need. This is the comment, guys. Here, Rupert Fellows, another zinger. The Texas Lone Star is not six-pointed. Just a reminder.
That's thank you there, Rupert, because I meant to say that it's not just blue and white. There's a missing color too, and that's actually not a star.
Yep. Mike Huckabee, as he's known, with this accent on the C. I'm sure Lindsey Graham thought Ted looked nice in his bikini. I mean, that just goes without saying, doesn't it?
Oh, I'm sure they went for a Brazilian together before the photo was shot.
That was a dog whistle from Cruz to his friend.
I saw today that one of Lindsey Graham's Senate opponents in South Carolina is calling for him to be charged with treason, which is a nice, very good line of attack. I think you need to see more of that in the United States, not this endless defensive position, but instead go on the counterattack with people like Graham, Ted Cruz, Fetterman, all of them. You know, they should all really be charged with treason, at least verbally, if not literally or legally. With Trump at the head, you know. Why not Trump too? You know.
Tel Aviv Ted is his new moniker. So yes, indeed, we can get into the Schofield Bible. We can talk about Christian Zionism. I think this is being hashed out right across the internet, social media sphere, and I think this is good. A lot of people have red pilled on this. It's taken a while, but they are a lot of main. Look, so just to share some anecdotal stories. So you guys, I've spoke to at least yesterday 30 people of different age groups, a few veterans as well, and active duty or recently active or retired, and they've red pilled on the Israeli issue. They acknowledge to me, some on camera, which I'll share this week, hopefully in a report, but they've acknowledged that we are going to war against Iran on behalf of Israel. So the fact is, U.S. servicemen, including Republicans, that are acknowledging this and willing to acknowledge it and say it on camera, is to me a huge thing. So there's something going on.
Sure.
There is something going on. There's been a sea change in the conversation in America. It's not big enough to reach the level of mainstream media perturbations, but I can see it on the street. Hesher, Ruckus, your thoughts on this? Just having conversations with people. Am I right? Am I got my finger on the pulse?
Yeah, I did some a little bit of walking around this weekend, and I found in my small town, where a lot of people recognize me and know what I do, or even if they don't, they just recognize me and know I'm someone, I'm someone from town. And I'd say, hey, are you willing to go on camera and answer, a quick question? And they'd say okay, maybe. And I'd say, all right, well, I'm gonna ask you, if you want to do it, I'll ask you a simple question. A recent poll that was done by, I think, either ABC or NBC, shown on CNN, was saying that there was 100% support for Donald Trump. Ruckus and Sam Chaney covered this on Weaponized News the other night. And I was immediately just like, wait, what? 100%? And this is CNN reporting this? This is wild. This is totally insane. This is not what you would expect. So I would ask people, I'm going to ask you, what do you think, in response to that? What do you think about Donald Trump and the war in Iran? And most people said, ooh, I'm not going on camera with that. But then they wanted to talk to me about it. You know what I mean? They wanted to talk about it, just not on camera. Mm-hmm. And I found one person, actually two people, that were 100% support. I did find two people that said, yeah, they're the #1 state sponsor of blah, blah, blah. They can't have these big boom, boom, bang, bang, blah, blah, blahs. It's been going on too long. We got to do it now. I did find two of those people, one of which was of Persian descent. But again, I didn't get to speak to her at great length. The other guy, totally supportive. And then the other 6 or 7 people I talked to, I'm not going on camera, but F this. This is insane. This is going to ruin everything. That's pretty much the overarching thing I heard. I don't support this guy anymore. I don't support Israel first anymore. Massive, massive blue and white pilling.
Ruckus,
Yeah,
you're.
I was gonna say the
ahead.
same thing. It appears that people are waking up to the, how you described it, the red pill over the Israel issue. I also see it like, because I'm a personally, I follow Pastor Chuck Baldwin of Liberty Fellowship MT. He's well known. He ran for president. He's known to be a constitutional expert, but he's also known to be an incredibly controversial pastor, because his shtick is, his thing is, he tries to teach Christians that Christian Zionism is bad and it's not biblical. He really goes against the narrative hard. He's very supportive of Palestinians and all of the things. It's almost like he's a viewer of Sunday Wire. He's one of us, right? But he's had to endure a lot of pushback and shadow banning and anti-nudging, sludging, I guess it's called, which is a funny term. But now that more and more people are awakening and they're ready for this type of message, his ministry is growing. His outreach is growing. More people are seeing his content. More people are seeing our content. People are getting far more curious about this type of stuff. And sometimes I go back and forth, and I'm still on the fence about this. This is the big why. Why are we allowed to talk about this? Why are we allowed to grow? Is it because they shot themselves in the foot and now it's out of control and it's snowballing and the Barbra Streisand effect? Or is they want everyone to be feeling like this, acting like this, and then they start using their false flag events, and then they can paint everybody as the bad guy, and which is why we need to roll in with more surveillance, more censorship, more control, yada, yada, the same old story. So I don't know. But I'm happy to see it, especially in the Christian camp, because a lot of well-meaning Christians are starting to change their mind about some of the things that they were taught since Sunday school. So,
yeah. So guys, I think, okay, we've identified that that's a thing. We've also identified that it looks like from the polling, this is very unpopular, this war, and it's going to affect the midterm elections in November. I think even if it stopped today, it's going to affect the midterm, because the economic pain that's been caused by this war is going to reverberate forward. So so again, that's the theme of the show, guys, is, doubling down, chasing your losses. I can't see how, if the U.S. put boots on the ground in Iran, even trying to occupy some of the small islands in the Straits of Hormuz, that doesn't mean the fighting's going to stop. Do people realize the Iranians have mobilized 1 million men? They have 1 million men between the IRGC, their regular military, and their Basij forces. It's 1 million. And the U.S. is sending, 10,000 special forces? I mean, Iran's quite happy to take losses. In fact, their population is willing to take losses if it's for a good cause, if it's defending their homeland. They have they've shown that.
Aren't they all supposed to be rising up against their tyrannical government?
That's what we were told by our media.
All that you
president
needed to do was decapitate the regime, and it would all be over very quickly. But obviously not. No, I mean, those 10,000, depending on where they are in vicinity, in geographical relationship to the Lithuanian forces, all 10,000 of them, they're going to get killed, aren't they? Well, and some captured. I mean, there's no way, like the British Expeditionary Force in 1940. It's a no-win situation, isn't it?
Well, look, I have it from a very good source this week, from somebody in the know who is there, that all the U.S. deaths are not being reported, and that they're likely in the hundreds. Okay, now.
Where are they being killed? I'm curious,
at U.S. bases that have been hit by Iranian missiles over the last 4 weeks.
Right. In the Gulf.
In the Gulf. And they're not being reported because of the political fallout that might ensue. So there's different arguments for that. Some people would say, well, there's no way that could keep all the families quiet. And I'm going to say, yeah, I believe that they can keep, because this is there's a lot national security for the U.S. They can invoke national security. The Trump administration has people that can intervene directly to families to tell them to, we're going to manage the situation. It's a very sensitive military operation. It's not difficult. They have the people and the resources to manage all that. It's only a few hundred.
Well,
But
Bush too did it, didn't he? Banned any pictures of coffins coming back, didn't he?
well, look, but the political fallout for, like, say, 50 or 100 dead U.S. troops at this stage, the White House couldn't manage it.
No.
They could not manage it. They would be crushed. They would be crushed. The media would, even a few mainstream media outlets might smell blood. They go in there, and that's it. And even Fox couldn't be able to, because Trump's shtick is this is a perfect war. That's the brand for this. A perfect war, says Donald Trump. We haven't really lost anybody. We've killed a lot of Iranians. We've decimated he claims we wiped out their entire military and their entire political leadership, which isn't true. But that's the narrative. So, yeah.
What are they honestly worried about is going to happen? Is this, all this means we won't get votes next time around? Or are they honestly worried that we're going to, like, grab the pitchforks and the torches and take our country back? What are they honestly concerned about? Why all the lies and deception to save face? This is insane to me.
It's to save Israel. It's to save Israel. It's not just about saving face. And you guys, trust me, Israel doesn't care who wins the midterms. They don't.
Oh, no.
They win. They've got what they want. They own half the Democratic Party, 3/4 of the 70% of the Democratic Party take IPAC money in Congress. Didn't
Kamala come out last week and say that Bush hadn't been tough enough on Iran as well?
I wouldn't surprise me.
I saw that. Yeah.
She's a diehard Zionist. Obviously, that's why she got lined up on the ticket. Comment here from Martin Maher, 1965. Patrick, in the panel, you picked up your complimentary copy of Lindsey Graham's newspaper, The Daily Closet. I did not know there was such a newspaper apparently in circulation, but apparently there is. Lindsey Graham has his own. It must be a local paper down in South Carolina, or maybe this is distributed in private in certain circles in the Beltway in DC. The loose end of the Beltway, the Daily Closet, Lindsey Graham, the Daily Closet. Someone, like, you keep joking about that, Martin. You keep pushing that. Someone's going to actually create a newspaper called the Daily Closet, and they're going to give the honorary editor-in-chief at-large editor position to Lindsey Graham in absentia, whether he wants the job or not.
Okay, back to the main narrative. Are they pushing this Iran terror cell threat in the United States to try and shore up support for the war? Because, of course, in the UK last week, we had this arson attack on 2 ambulances run by a Jewish charitable organization in North London. And responsibility was claimed by a new, supposedly Iranian-backed group. Did you see that, Patrick?
Yeah, a lot of people came out straight up and called. Craig Murray said, obvious false flag, literally within minutes. So,
yeah, I mean, a couple of points. First of all, I was gobsmacked. I know you're familiar with Crispin Flintoff, left-wing, YouTube host. He does a show every Saturday morning, and he said this morning, and I don't think he was being ironic. I mean, I commented at the time, and I thought it was gobsmacking that he said this. And 1 or 2 people in the chat picked me up and said, "Oh no, he's being ironic." I thought, I don't think he is. And that said, he was completely unfamiliar with the term false flag until last week. And that speaks to, I know, but that speaks to a real blind spot on the left, because his audience is traditional left Labour, sort of Tribune Benite type Labour supporters. A lot of them now supporting the Green Party or your party. Ex-Labour people and what have you. And false flags are somewhere they've traditionally refused to go. Likewise, Chris Hedges still won't talk about 9/11, So to talk about that, they had this academic talking about the Lavon affair, which is well known, and false flags in Baghdad back in the 1950s to drive the Jewish community to Israel. Completely failed to mention 9/11 or 7/7. Or, for that matter, any of those incidents in the early 2000s, Bataclan and the Madrid train bombing. I mean, we had a whole slew of them, didn't we? Of false flag events. And then this latest group have popped up, perfectly formed out of nowhere. They didn't exist until Israel and the United States started bombing Iran. They produced a statement which is clearly written by ChatGPT, which refers to the land of Israel, and that isn't the terminology that any authentic group would use. They always say Palestine. Of course, the Arabic is grammatically incorrect, and besides, if it was an Iranian group, they would originate the language in Farsi. They appear to exist only within the Zionist propaganda matrix. In other words, the Daily Telegraph, or now the Telegraph, claims to have seen a copy of a report produced by the Israeli government, which details this new group's activities. Okay,
totally reliable. Totally reliable.
Meanwhile, they've also given an interview to CBS, now owned by Larry Ellison and controlled by Barry Weiss, but there's no evidence of them existing outside the Zionist propaganda matrix.
Can't possibly be a propaganda cutout. No chance.
It gets even better. They are alleged to have claimed responsibility for a couple of minor fires in the Netherlands. I know. Setting fire to supposedly Jewish assets, or there was one car that was set fire to, that was claimed to be an anti-Semitic attack because it was claimed it was in a Jewish neighborhood. It wasn't actually in the Jewish neighborhood. It was near, but it wasn't in the Jewish neighborhood, and it belonged to a Moroccan. But anyway,
Moroccan, an Arabic Moroccan. So
four people arrested in Holland, Patrick, of Dutch Antilles descent, which places them as being of Afro-Caribbean heritage.
Listen, if an Arab
aged between 14 and 17. So apparently there are black school children and teenagers in Holland who are somehow being inspired to incorrectly identify what are supposed to be Jewish assets and targets and set fire to them. And this is evidence of a new deadly Iranian terror cell.
That's right. Jonathan Greenblatt is on high alert because of it here. Nigel Farage said this Iranian terror cell that allegedly set fire to ambulances, bizarre, but he said it's operating in London. I saw James Lee construct the whole thing, the note on the burnt ambulances. Deconstruct the whole thing. The Arabic was misspelled, etc. And Irani, as we've said. So, I mean, Farage, by the way, is fully behind ramping up the war on terror, fully behind the war in Iran. He can't wait to be prime minister, so he can be the wartime prime minister. He wants to channel his inner Churchill. Okay, So anyway, we're gonna pivot, you guys. We're gonna go into our to wrap it up. We got a shorter than normal broadcast this week, so I want to get a final thoughts on all this, more, and the week to come. Starting with Hesher, go ahead.
Well, first off, we were talking about the massive blue and white pilling, or the red pilling, if you prefer, when it comes to foreign entanglement in our country, and particularly the viewpoints of, sort of salt of the earth patriots, veterans, military-minded people, constitutionalists, that kind of thing, right? Second Amendment people, right? There are huge influencers out there in this sphere. There's one in particular I would like to highlight. If you are a GunTube person, if you watch gun content on YouTube, you're likely going to recognize the name I'm about to throw out. He goes by Grand Thumb on YouTube, and let me put my screen up here. On YouTube, he has 4.53 million subscribers. Okay, this is a big time channel, right? It is 100% funded by industry, pretty much, and subscribers. Like, he doesn't use Google ads or anything like that. And these kind of accounts are almost never get political, right? It's a gun content account. It's for information, enjoyment, edification, and fun. And it's highly curated that way. It's not political. So 4.53 million followers on YouTube. On X, what do we got? More than 500,000, 560.6 thousand followers. And on Instagram, 1,000,005 followers. Okay. So I didn't read his OP, his original post, but he posted this about a week ago. After my post yesterday, I've never received so many credible threats in my entire life. So here's a disclaimer. I'm not suicidal or being paid by any foreign government or whatever other blackmail they may try. I'm not just for getting Israel out of Washington. I think he's trying to say I'm just for getting Israel out of Washington.
No, I think he means he's not just for that. So
Yeah,
it's like
okay,
he's got
yeah.
other things too.
Right, right. So you're right, Basil. So he carries on and he says, I want all foreign influence out of our government. Have a wonderful day. So to me, that was pretty big because most people in the military, most people that think about joining the military, most people that are veterans, if they still care about firearms at all, they watch this guy and he has a huge audience. And the fact that he dropped that on that huge audience when he has nothing but giant corporate sponsors like Primary Arms, for example, really says a lot. Either he's willing to risk, all of his sponsorship and or his audience because he feels this strongly about it. And it makes me wonder, about the stories we hear about the toilets clogging and the fires starting and all these things aboard aircraft carriers and other vessels in the carrier group. Talk to a lot of people, who are very pro-military or in the military, myself personally, that are not into this. So it really begs a lot of questions, and another giant blue and white pill flying out this week.
No, absolutely. You're starting to see people, like you said, Hesher, apolitical. They tend to avoid the third rail topics. I call it third rail electrification, and now they're no longer avoiding it because it's safe to talk about it. The Overton window has expanded. It's shifted. This is now okay to talk about, which we can just kind of sit back and just watch the fireworks at this point because I just see inertia taking place on this.
Think how different the conversation would be, or rather the balance of forces would be, if Charlie Kirk was still alive, because he would be a big one on the Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owen, Darren Thumb side of the equation. But
he might be alive. Who knows? He might be at a ranch up in Montana or something. We really, I hate to fuel that conspiracy, but look at this, guys. Why are tech bros buying mega bunkers? You saw this story this week. Like, what's that all about? Mega bunkers down in Miami? They're all clustered together. Like, what are these people? What are they expecting? And they think they're going to ride it out, whatever it is, a meteor strike, a comet strike, a pole shift, nuclear Armageddon. It's too bad we can't all afford to buy mega bunkers in Miami. If you're really rich, you can have multiple mega bunkers. So here's another one, guys. Charlton Heston's got his suicide nuclear vest on. So JD Vance, I have to, guys, I have to play this because this is just too good to pass up. JD Vance made a comment here. Listen closely, folks. This is the Vice President of the United States, okay? Second most powerful man in the world, allegedly.
Options. I think it's important the American people know options for what? And it's options to ensure that Iran never has a nuclear weapon. You talk about people who walk into a crowded supermarket and have a vest on, and they blow up the vest and a couple of people get killed, and that's a terrible tragedy. What happens when what's on the vest is not something that can kill a couple of people, but can kill many, many tens of thousands of people? That is the most important American national security objective that exists for any administration at any time, is you don't want the worst people in the world to have a nuclear weapon. That's why the president is doing this. That's why the president cares so much about this particular issue.
You guys, did he just say nuclear suicide vest is what he was talking about? I think JD Vance, is this Vice President Gordon Duff I mean, at this point, where's this stuff coming from? This guy, I have no respect for this guy anymore. He is JD Vance doesn't know anything about anything. Let's be very clear. Okay. He's 42 years old. He has no experience politically. He has no experience doing very much. Allegedly, he's a military veteran, or he's in the Marines for a couple of years. He did 2 years in the Ohio Senate, and he's Peter Thiel's protege. Like, that's his resume. He's a tech bro, and he believes that there's nuclear suicide vests. And why would Iranians don't do suicide vests? Those are the Wahhabi Sunni extremist terrorists that are funded and armed by the U.S., Israel, and Saudi Arabia. They're the ones who do suicide vests, not Iran, just so we're clear. So, like, what's he talking? These people don't know anything. This is beyond shocking. This guy cannot be president. He's a complete moron. I used to have hope for this guy, but the world peace and our lives as a human race are too valuable to entrust to people like this that are. I am questioning his IQ at this point. Like, is he as smart as people believe he is? Guys, just brief, Ruckus, I want to get your comment on this because this is quite an extreme.
Maybe these people really are smarter than they appear to be, and it's less about how intelligent they are and more about the intelligence of the intended audience. So who are they talking to? It's not what they're saying, it's who are they saying these things to. And I think that's the bigger problem, the bigger elephant in the room. But yeah, no, I mean, you take it all at face value. If you're really into these things, if you're a thinking person, you're like, well, these people are a bunch of idiots. And yes, and I'm just like, but why? Again, why? I mean, it's so in your face. It's almost like they don't care. And, you know, what you pointed out earlier makes perfect sense. It's because when I say they don't care, it seems like they don't care about the American people, about America, about the MAGA thing that they used to wear on their hats. I don't really even see any of them wearing the hats anymore. Most of them burned it, apparently, like our good friend Mystical Pharaoh. Shout out to Mystical Pharaoh. But yeah, it's to make somebody and something else great, greater, actually, in this instance. So yeah, it's pathetic. It's sad. And if I could take it at face value, nope, these people are not bright at all. But again, I think they're just playing a game.
Right. And the eyeliner, I mean, he's still using it, apparently.
Remember the thing with him used to be before Trump got elected, they were like all worried about the fact that JD Vance was weird. You can find these old supercuts of everybody talking about he's just weird. And it was just like, why are they doing this? And it turns out the guy's actually pretty weird.
They're right. I hate to say it, it's terrible. They have vindicated all of their critics from the last many years on all this, which is kind of crazy in itself. But just quick shout out, Hesher Boiler Room coming up this week, and Ruckus, shout out on your on your media activity where people can find you, follow you, learn more.
Well, you know, it's almost like with Vance, with that clip we just saw. It's like, and you know, with the question Ruckus raised, like who is your audience? Who are you talking to? The only people I can think that, you know, those talking points and those kind of things are, you know, listened to are people like the type of people that are still donating to TPUSA, like the super evangelical, stuck in the narrative. Like, I watch nothing but Fox and CIA podcast people. You know, those are like the only people comments like that resonate with. And that says a lot about the GOP right now. That says a lot about supposed conservatives right now. Conservatives, if you're truly one, you're not part of that audience. You know, you're just not. I'm sorry. You're not going to go tech bro. You're not going to give up your rights and your freedoms, you know, for the clown MAGA world right there. For World War Epstein or any of that stuff. So that's their audience, and it's a dwindling audience. It's a pathetic, sad, small audience. Sure, Erica Kirk got $40 million or whatever in the first couple of weeks, but I would be willing to bet at this point that there are a lot of people that that got emotionally sucked into that narrative and then got financially sucked into that narrative and have since obtained a large sense of buyer's remorse because of all of the foreign meddling and the war and Venezuela and Gaza. You know what I mean? We could just go on and on and on. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I think that it's a pretty I'll be nice and I won't say a low IQ audience. It's a pretty skull-plugged audience. It's a pretty brainwashed audience. It's a pretty emotional audience, which is, funny, ironic, I guess not funny, not funny, ironic that liberal style emotions can rule people like this over a event that has been stage managed to some extent. And I think Charlie's the Charlie incident, whatever it was, and we'll probably never know, was a huge inflection point. So it really split the party. Midterms are going to be a disaster. Probably won't believe any of the numbers I see or any of the elections I see or are organic in the end. That's where I sit with it. As far as Boiler Room goes, we've been on a bit of a break over the last 2 weeks. And it's looking like that break is probably going to continue up until next week or this coming week. We've just been so busy. I had a trip to Houston, got a whole bunch of stuff done there, met some great contacts, even some potential places that we can do live podcasts and stuff like that. So if that's something you're interested in out there, let us know in the chat. Be sure you're liked, subscribed, followed. Be sure you're checking 21stcenturywire.com and alternatecurrentradio.com and all of our social medias and stuff. We're curious to know, would you like to come out to Houston or Florida or Austin and attend a live event? We're in kind of conversations in the background about that. We got some venues in mind. So that's all sort of in its euphoric forms right now, but just got back from that trip. And we've got Jay Dyer and Jamie Hanshaw coming through town. We've got Patrick in town and access to a really nice professional studio. So we're really taking advantage of that. We're doing a lot of booking. So as far as Boiler Room goes, we'll be back next week, probably Friday night. So it's coming Friday. Boiler Room will be back. And check the website in the meantime, alternatecurrentradio.com. Like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff on this video if you're watching on Rumble, X, YouTube, BitChute, or elsewhere. And man, thanks for having me and looking forward to phase 2 of today.
Thank you, Hesher. We'll see you later today. I'm looking forward to that. And Ruckus, over to you.
Yeah, I think the audience that he was describing there would be also considered well-meaning people, the folks that consume the type of content in general at their base level. When you look at them, examine them, hang out with them, they become your friends, your neighbors, your roommates, etc. They're well-meaning people, and that makes sense why they're targeted for the brainwashing technique by these evil bastards, because that's what they are. They are a bunch of psychopaths because they recognize the fact that well-meaning people are malleable putty in their hands. It's sad to say. There is a bit of reporting I want to bring up just so we touch upon it. It's something I did bring up on Weaponized News, which is one of the places you can find me doing weekly content. I'm there every Wednesday night co-hosting with Sam Chaney. And you can find out that through his website, weaponizednews.com, or visit alternatecurrentradio.com. I repost my stuff there under the moniker of Roundabout Ruckus. But I did bring this up, the fact that the Army, this is another bellwether for where things are headed. They've gotten so desperate with their enlistment that they've changed a few things. They bumped up the enlistment age to 42, and they basically stopped caring if you've been caught with a bag of weed. They are allowing one single criminal offense of marijuana possession. Okay, so now they've opened up and now I've heard some people reporting, oh, did you hear that they changed the draft age? We don't technically know. It didn't necessarily affect a draft, but that's coming. But this does mean that if you were aged out before, you're not anymore. And then, of course, when a draft comes, now you're in there and you can't say, oh, I'm ineligible because I smoked some pot or whatever. Now, the folks who are excited about this, don't get too excited. Don't get too excited. The last clinging on to the last hope of everything, this this guy right here. If you're this person, you're like, yeah, this means I can join the military now, brah, because I'm 41 and I smoke pot. Well, hold on there, buddy. They still require an aptitude test, okay? And that, you got to pass a score that's equivalent to, say, 85 IQ. So, you're not going to make it. But if you do, don't forget what you're fighting for. This guy or this gal. And, of course, don't forget to check us out at alternatecurrentradio.com. That's where you find all the good stuff. Thanks for having me, Pat. It's been a blast. See you again soon.
Thank you very much, Ruckus, and appreciate your dedication, all of you guys, and your hard work to inform and enlighten the masses. That's why we're here. This is why we do what we do. Basil Valentine, again, stellar reporting recently with the UK column, I might add. So Basil's also making a great contribution on that platform, and it's something that I think people really appreciate. But your final thoughts before we send this one off, Basil?
Well, just this morning, Tony Blair has crawled out of his coffin to denounce what he calls the alliance of sections of the left and Islamists. Now, this is an increasingly familiar refrain from Zionists that, first of all, the use of the term Islamist. I think this is straight out of the Hasbara playbook, because rather than simply calling people Muslims, which would, of course, be to demonize one section of the community, the term Islamist is used to describe the very same people, but suggesting that they seek domination, that they want Islam to take over Britain and the world, frankly. And of course, a lot of Muslim communities in Britain are outraged, rightly so, about the Gaza genocide. And that's also positions shared by many on the left, not in the Labour Party, but on the real left. So yesterday there was a big march in London, not that you'd know if you'd watched the BBC, they didn't cover it at all. 500,000 people marching under a Together banner against Nigel Farage and the far right. There was some vox pops on Crispin Flintoff this morning. One girl, student age, made the very telling point that while that was all great and being opposed to the illegal wars and all the rest of it, nevertheless, to appeal to reform voters, a broader coalition needs to be created that addresses people's genuine concerns about the cost of living and that sort of thing. So there are some bright sparks there, but yet all the usual suspects have been amplifying the demon Blair, whose Tony Blair Institute for Change, now turbocharged by Larry Ellison's money, has become a sort of tech bro advocacy, lobbying and sales group. And the guy belongs in jail. He has no business pontificating about anything, frankly, but his voice is still amplified by the corporate media in Britain. Meanwhile, the sort of Zionist, anti-Zionist battles are raging on numerous fronts simultaneously. The Metropolitan Police decided they were going to start arresting people again for saying that they supported Palestine action, having said after the ban was declared unlawful by the High Court that they wouldn't do so. Doubtless under pressure from the Zionist lobby, they've changed their mind and they're going to start arresting people again until the findings of the Court of Appeal, although if the government lose that appeal, they'll probably go to the Supreme Court. Anyway, and of course, the Filton 24 held their press conference this week. Worth noting that the two individuals arrested in connection with the arson attack, it's now been downgraded to an arson attack by the Metropolitan Police. It's not a terrorist attack anymore. The attack on the ambulances. Two men in their 40s were released on bail after being arrested in connection with that. But the Palestine Action people, those who took action against Elbit Systems, spent 18 months in jail under terrorist conditions, extremely harsh conditions. And it's worth going over and looking at, as was the case with Julian Assange, how their process was a very deliberate and pernicious punishment. They did 18 months in jail without being convicted of anything and have now all been released. They're certainly the hunger strikers are going to sue the Home Office for failure to provide adequate medical treatment, and frankly, I think the others should sue them for something under habeas corpus as well. I'll be back on Friday. Thank you for your kind words on the UK column as usual.
Yep. Thank you. And I'll see you then as well, Basil and Hesher. I will see you soon. Hopefully we'll be able to catch up with you and Ruckus before we're leaving this week. But great to see everybody. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday Wire. Thank you guys for your engagement in the comment sections. Go to alternatecurrentradio.com for more programming as well, and follow our guests here, the esteemed panel of Overdrive. And that's all we've got time for there's a little Basil comment there. The posh accent, very nice. It resonates. Indeed, it does. But yeah, thank you guys for all of your support, all of your engagement. Those of you who liked and subscribed on YouTube, it's really important that we drive engagement and to beat the algorithmic suppression on YouTube. We're growing the channel. We've miraculously passed 30,000 subscribers. It took a while because our account was more or less frozen for 10 years. Believe it or not, 10 years. So yeah, here we go. Creative accidents. I'm buying around since you guys are all together on Texas soil. Hesher sending you funds towards libations or fajitas. That's very generous of our loyal listener. Creative accidents there. So Hesher, keep your eyes out for that. But thank you guys so much. And yeah, more Basil Valentine fan clubbing there, and he's increasingly popular now, especially among American listeners. But yeah, you guys will really love all the feedback. Thanks. Big thank you back. Yeah, appreciate it. Martin Maher, 1965, one of our top commenters at the Sunday Wire. Appreciate that. Look, that's all we've got time for today, folks. Well, hopefully we'll see you guys soon, I hope. Well, definitely next Sunday and perhaps before. We'll keep your eyes up on our YouTube channel during the midweek. We've got a new video we're going to be pushing out this week, and that will be every week, and it will be something outdoors, as you guys requested last Sunday. So we're actually doing it. So keep an eye out for that in the next day or so. There'll be a couple every week, actually. So this will be a regular fixture. Myself, direct to you. So yeah, that's all we've got time for today. Look, take care, you guys. We'll see you soon, and we really appreciate all of your support once again. If you can go to our website there and check out 21stcenturywire.com, donate options are up on screen. You'll find all the different ways you can support us there, and ideally, if you can subscribe and become a member at 21wire.tv. That's monthly, very affordable, just over $5 a month. But that really allows us to budget and plan, and we're trying to increase our subscriber base. We are 100% a listener-funded operation, and we rely on your donations and your support to make that happen. And we're producing a lot of journalism, and that's getting syndicated on other platforms. And really the bottom line here is we are here to basically help to debunk propaganda, disinformation, but also to do journalistic investigations to help you become more informed and contribute to the high-level conversation, especially with regards to geopolitics and the war right now in Iran. We're dedicated to that mission, and I think we're doing well. We've definitely been able to step up our game, and I think everybody benefits from that. The entire alternative media benefits from that. We all contribute to the same ecosystem, and the more that we can do with your help at this platform, and I know you guys support other platforms as well, and that's awesome. So, we're able to do a lot, though, with what you give us. As you can see, we're able to produce a lot, and we're managing a pretty powerful independent media platform at 21st Century Wire. It will continue to grow, continue to thrive, not just survive, but to thrive in 2026. So that's all we've got time for today. We'll see you guys hopefully very soon. And again, keep your eyes on our YouTube channel during the week for new content, which we'll be unveiling there. So yeah, that's it. All the best. And Yeah, episode 588 of the Sunday Wire. It's been an honor to have you with us, and we'll see you very soon. In the meantime, Red Rumble taking us out with Turn to Dust.
For in the final analysis, we all inhabit this small planet, and we are all mortal.
Lately I've been watching the world gone mad. Brothers and sisters full to take a stand, to hate their fellow man and upper man. Divide and conquer is the acronym plan. Distract the people, control the story. Don't believe your lying eyes, you know me. Stay in power no matter what. Playing with the doomsday clock. Turn a blind eye and gamble your trust. Pushing us to turn to good. Corruption and lies. Truth is the crime, will turn to dust. Well-designed misery to keep you on edge, make you believe anything anyone says. Keep it left or right, not top or bottom. Accuse the victim, can't you see we got 'em? Stay in power no matter what. Playing with the doomsday clock. Turn a blind eye and gamble your trust. Pushing us to turn to dust. With captured rights, feudals our time will turn to dust. Industrialized brutality, commercialized cruelty, people as commodity, cheer on war and atrocity.